Hey guys, LevelCap here, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Gaming, the news show where we cover all things FPS. If you'd like to skip to a specific news story, click its link on screen, and if you're on mobile, check the video description. First up, Rainbow Six Siege got a huge balancing patch this week. It addressed a bunch of gameplay and map bugs, as well as leveling the playing field with some operators. One of the biggest changes was made to the operator Blackbeard. His deployable weapon shield now only has 150 hit points, a huge nerf from its previous 800. And even though he gets two shields that he can cycle between for a total of 300 hit points, it's not going to take a small army to take him down. The offensive operator Twitch also gets a pretty big upgrade. Her shock drone is now deployable during prep phase, and she gets an additional one once the game starts. She can actually cycle between her prep phase drone and her additional drone if the prep phase one is not killed. And I gotta say, it's absolutely hilarious harassing the defending operators while they're setting up their defensive fortifications. You can just zap them and then run away before they have time to turn around and figure out what is in fact shooting them. It's a good way to sort of distract the team, slow down their defensive position, and if you even hide that drone during the prep phase, you can bring it out at a key moment during the round, distracting them while your teammates make that tactical breach and enter. Another significant change was made to the defensive operator Doc. He can now overheal himself and teammates. He can revive as he could before, both himself and teammates, but he can also heal friendlies and himself. So basically, Doc has seen a huge buff across the board. He's already got a lot of armor, pretty fun to use weapon, and now he is extremely useful for healing and reviving. I've already used this mechanic multiple times very effectively. I have no doubt that Doc is going to become a staple defensive operator. And as if these balance changes weren't enough, there are now two new gadgets in the game: claymores and impact grenades. Attackers playing Thatcher, Twitch, Glaz, and Thermite now have access to claymores. And you might be thinking, why do attackers get claymores instead of defenders, right? Aren't claymores traditionally set up as defensive fortifications? Well, they actually come in handy on the attacking team because when you're pushing up towards an objective, you don't always have enough people or enough time to watch your back. And this is a great deterrent for roamers, which is pretty much the most popular strategy in Rainbow Six right now, which is just leave a few roamers around the map and they'll attack the attacking team at a very unsuspecting time while they're setting up their breach. Claymores can block off certain areas and at the very least will cause the defensive team to have to shoot them, giving away their position right before they make their attack. So it's a very useful tool in the right hands. Now, some of the defensive operators are getting access to impact grenades. In fact, in some cases, it's actually replacing their nitro cells, as there's a pretty big reliance on nitro cells in Rainbow Six Siege. They're pretty damn powerful. They're just like an Uber grenade, basically, that the operator gets to control. So some of those have been replaced with impact grenades. Impact grenades will not kill in one hit, but they'll do a significant amount of damage, and the fact that they blow up on impact doesn't give your opponent time to run away. In addition to which, if you throw an impact grenade against a wall, you'll make a big hole in that wall, one which you can use to ambush your opponents, but also vault through should you need an extra passageway. Overall, this patch has been a huge step in the right direction. Granted, there has been a little bit of criticism over some of the muzzle brake attachments and weapon balancing and stuff like that, as I'm sure there always will be. In addition to that, they haven't made any changes to Tachanka, which is basically a running joke now about how poor of an operator he is. You can use him, and people do, but it's mostly just for the heck of it because his mounted machine gun is practically worthless. For the more experienced and veteran players, I think the offensive claymores are going to be one of the biggest game changers because you now have the ability to make tactical approaches, and it's going to reduce the effectiveness of roamers. And this should basically make the game play out probably the way it was designed to play out, where one team plays highly defensively and the other team plays highly offensively. Whereas before, defenders were restricted to being inside of a building, but within that building they could move around a lot quickly and flank their opponents, which was a bit overpowered on certain maps. So hopefully this will tone it down a bit. Now, of course, there's a lot more small tweaks and balances here and there. If you'd like a full list of the patch notes, check the link in the video description. Overwatch also got a really important patch this week that added high bandwidth mode that increases the tick rate of public servers from 21 to 63 for players with internet that can handle it. This basically means that players are sending and receiving a lot more updates per second about what's going on in the game world. This should basically cause things to be more precise, more accurate, and less deaths and shots around corners. The upgraded tick rate is an automatic feature that has been deployed on PC, and console gamers should be getting this update soon. Now, people following Star Citizen got a pretty big surprise this week when a data miner dug up a 3D model of the massive Terra Prime city area that's been hidden in the game files. Star Citizen's ongoing alpha currently restricts players to hub areas and select planets of the playable world to explore. Terra Prime is the capital city of Terra, a planet detailed in RSI's Galactic Guide. And while most games just feature a few buildings that you could explore when showing you a cityscape, Terra Prime looks like it's an actually fully modeled out city that you may be able to explore every inch of. Featuring 4 islands, each with skyscrapers, bridges, and dense city architecture, Terra Prime is probably big and complex enough to house an entire game's worth of content. It may not be as intricate as a game like GTA 5, but I wouldn't put it past Star Citizen devs to make it feel just as immersive. Now, on the DICE side of things, leading up to BF1's impending launch, EA have made all Battlefield 4 DLC free on all platforms to download and keep this week. The offer ends Monday, so be sure to get yours ASAP. Some of the best maps in BF4 were added in the DLCs. It can be a challenge to play with friends without all of the BF4 DLC, so if you're not planning on getting BF1 right away, or you just never got the DLC for BF4, I'd highly recommend you download it now. Also, you could get the base game for a very, very inexpensive price right now, and then just download all the DLC for free. Now, when Microsoft launched Quantum Break earlier this year, it was the first in a collection of games planned to support their Play Anywhere concept. Players that bought the game on Xbox One or PC also got it for both platforms. So you could buy the game on Xbox One, and if you have a Windows 10 PC, you can also download it from the Microsoft Store and play it on PC. The issue, of course, was that the process was not automatic. Players would receive messages with codes or emails, and they had to redeem things, and it basically became pretty complicated and messy. If you've ever used the Windows Store, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. However, with Recore's launch this week, Microsoft has automated the Play Anywhere process. By all accounts, it's a huge improvement over the test version used for Quantum Break. Some of the highlighted games that will be part of the program include Gears of War 4, Forza 3, and Halo Wars 2. Personally, I'm pretty excited by this aspect. It's not that I've bought a huge amount of games on multiple platforms, but I've bought enough for it to be an issue of, hey, here's an extra $60 if you want to play it on PC or play it on Xbox. So if Microsoft can lock this down, it could be a very attractive way to influence PC gaming or Xbox gaming depending on which platform you own. All that said, Microsoft's PC ports have had a lot of issues recently, and while things are improving, I'm worried about how long it will be before we can trust that a Microsoft PC title will launch without major issues. When Halo 5 Forge was released on PC last week, it took me well over an hour to get it downloaded. There were multiple listings for download, none of which seemed to work right. Then I googled it and realized I had to install the Windows 10 Anniversary update, which the store didn't tell me to do. By the time I finally got the game installed, I felt like I had jumped through hoops that most people wouldn't have bothered with, in addition to which it didn't feel like a great port anyway. The mouse input felt pretty bad. Before I get to our final news of the week, I want to just mention a couple things quickly. The BioShock collection is now available and includes remastered versions of the 2 games. PC players that own either game will get the updated version for free. Also, Hideo Kojima confirmed that his upcoming game, Death Stranding, will be an open-world action game, which sounds kind of like Metal Gear Solid 5. And lastly, the Resident Evil 7 PS4 demo has been updated with new rooms and items to explore. Now, our final bit of news this week is that Eurogamer have released new alpha footage of Sniper Elite 4 with the developer commentary. In the video, developer Paul Wright plays through the game's viaduct level and demonstrates how a good player will approach the game. Sniper Elite 3 was a pretty decent game, but it also felt like Rebellion tried to branch the gameplay away from being mostly about sniping and a little bit more towards close quarters gunplay. This new footage shows that Sniper Elite 4 is somewhat of a return to traditional sniper gameplay, but with improvements that makes each mission more flexible for either playstyle. Anyway, that wraps it up for today's episode of This Week in Gaming. There's a lot of great stuff going on for a lot of the major AAA shooters right now. Free content to download if you're a Battlefield fan, new content if you're a Rainbow Six fan, and a lot of cool updates if you like Overwatch. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This is LevelCap, signing off.